So I named the video "Wait for Your Shot" and then make it count. And it just blew up.
All right. Well, thanks for joining today on the podcast. I've got a guest who has over 66,000 subs with 74 videos and a mind-numbing 49 million views. 49 million views. 49 million views. Has a short game that is like none other I've ever seen. It is the average Joe with a bow. How are we doing today?
Doing good. Thank you, Jeremy.
Just wrapping up from a pig hunt, and I was able to hop on and
Yeah.
and join us. And how was the hunt today?
I had my chances. We'll put it like that. Having this pig property down here, it's awesome to be able to come down here whenever I need to and take a poke at a pig. That's a big part of my channel of all the pig hunting I get to do, and I've been trying to do some recurve hunting, trying to take it old school. And tonight the pigs won. Right now it's 0-2, so the two shots in one night, and I couldn't land either. So there's a little bit of practice going to happen tomorrow from some elevated positions with my recurve.
So I've never been pig hunting. Maybe you could compare this. I'm sure you've hunted whitetail. I've seen that on your channel.
Oh, absolutely.
How do they compare scent wise? Are they harder or easier to hunt than whitetails, or?
They're a lot easier in my opinion, especially the way we do it. I'm here in middle South Georgia, and they're feeders. We put up corn feeders and things. I know there's a lot of deer hunters that may use feeders. Me personally, if you ever watch my deer hunting videos, I'm not on any feeders. So for the hunter, you pretty much know where they're going to be.
Right.
They're going to go to that feeder. And you whitetail deer hunters, they're coming from 360 degrees, anywhere, any angle.
And are they as sensitive to smell and human presence as whitetails?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They can see very well. I've heard people say, well, they don't look up. Well, I can tell you, as many years as I've been hunting pigs, they'll look up. But definitely on the smells, they can smell very well. And it's amazing, because if you ever shoot one, and hopefully you get a chance, is when you go harvest that pig and you find it smells so bad you don't know how he can smell anything else, because how bad the pig smells. But they definitely, you've got to play the wind, just like a big buck. And they have very good memory. If they catch you once, they're gonna take a look up at that tree stand or that spot you decided to go after them. And they're tricky. They're smart. Pigs say, people say pigs are probably the smartest animal around, and I've seen that out here, that they're pretty bright.
So why don't you tell me a little about your hunting history? Did you kind of grow up hunting, or something you've developed over the time, and maybe just a little bit about that?
Well, I grew up in upstate New York, so deer hunting primarily was huge in my family. I was the youngest of four boys, and so my three older brothers were definitely into it. My dad was into it, and it was just a way of life, the way we grew up there. It was primarily whitetail. We didn't do a lot of gun hunting, mostly bow hunting, and I don't know if it was because it was cheaper, maybe, to own a bow than it was a gun. But we just got into it, and I was really heavy into it in my younger years. Squirrels, whitetail, not a lot of turkey, believe it or not. But I went in the military at 18, and I left New York, and I kind of lost touch for a lot of years. Moved away, and really it reignited itself after I don't know, probably 10, 12 years ago, spending time with my family again, going back to New York, going back, getting into the hunting, which they never gave up. You know, they've always kept it going, and I kind of left it for a while. But once I got reignited into it, it was like triple the passion that I've ever had for it. And I think more of it is because just the time with the family versus the hunting, if that makes sense. You know, just spending time with my brothers and my nephews, and bringing back them old memories, you know, from when I was a kid.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely relate to that. By the way, thank you for your service. Appreciate that.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I love, that is probably my favorite thing about hunting. I kind of grew up in a hunting family, and my grandpa had to sell the property when I was 17, and then it kind of fizzled out. But since in the last 4 or 5 years, both my brother-in-laws have really gotten into hunting, and that has really given us a bond. And my favorite time of year is deer camp, and we just go up as, you know, a group of guys and hang out, and it's not so much about killing the deer, but it's about that time spent with family, having a good time. And if we come away empty-handed or just a doe or whatever it is, it's really about the time, and you can't get that stuff back. So
no, and we actually we were able to buy a camp on our own, which for our family was a big deal. In the last, I think it was about 4 years ago, we bought that camp, and exactly what you're talking about, that time now owning a camp, and it doesn't have any property with it. It actually just sits on a border of the public land we've hunted for 20, 30 years. But just having that now is great. And I look forward to every, late October, early November, heading back to New York. I take 2 weeks off of work to spend 2 weeks up there just with the guys and do that.
That's awesome. So maybe from there, we get into a little bit of your channel history. Tell me a little bit about what started you making a YouTube video, and how did you start that process?
Well, it started a long time ago. My brothers and I, we started just filming on VHS tapes.
Old school.
Old school. I was probably before the internet, just for our own viewing pleasures. So we did that long time ago. And when I got out of the military, the times I didn't have with the family in New York, it kind of said, I wanted to share with them what I had going on. So I just kind of went back into that. We had a little bit of history, back in the VHS days of how we did it. And it was very, antiquated back then. It didn't have the nice camera arms or the cameras like we have now. But just to be able to send them a video, and I've already sent them the video of me missing those 2 pigs tonight. I just cropped it and there you go.
Yeah.
But so that's really what started it. And it really was non-edited, just raw video, just, hey, this is what happened tonight. And they would send me something just to kind of try to keep that deer camp kind of feeling going, and you mentioned, because it's being a hunter, and if you hunted with your family, you know how this is. As soon as you come out of the woods, no matter what happened that night, you all group up and you just talk about what happened that night. So this is my way of, hey, this is what happened this night, and this is what happened on this hunt. And it could be little things. It could be the squirrel that busted you and has sat there chattering at you for 10 minutes, and you've probably been through that up in, you're in PA, right?
Michigan. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Michigan. Oh, Michigan. Yeah. You get them red squirrels. They get a beam on you and they just sit there and chatter at you for forever.
Oh yeah.
It's just though, and you tell those stories. So that's really how the channel got started, and it wasn't successful at all. And it wasn't designed, or the desire wasn't to be successful. It was just a way to get them from me to them where they could see them. And then it was funny because, you know, some people started watching them that weren't my family.
Yeah.
And it didn't progress very much. I may have had 70 subscribers, you know, and that might be a little more than I thought, but it was about 70 or something like that. And what really started getting me going, if we want to go into what brought the channel, was the electric bikes. And you probably may have seen a couple of those videos.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
did.
for sure.
So I started off as a GA bow hunter for Georgia Bow Hunter. And then my brother talked me into getting an electric bike, because up in New York where we hunt, that was legal, you know, any e-bike under 750 watt, and it may be the same for Michigan, is considered a bicycle, and they're legal on public lands. So we bought electric bikes and we started messing around with this, and we didn't go out and buy a Rambo or any of these big named, you know, hunting bikes that were out there. We bought a Himaway. It was cheap. It was like, I say cheap, for $12.99, I think, what it cost. And so I started doing a couple of videos of me just riding through the mud on this thing, you know, and just trying to beat it to death. And that kind of gained a little traction. So I was like, wow, well, maybe I need to start a new channel. So I had GA Bow Hunter, and I actually started another channel called the Himaway Hunter. And that actually, I think I got up to 400 subscribers. It got to be in my world big. But then I got thinking about it, and I wanted to do more hunting videos instead of just bike videos, because you kind of riding through the mud. How much, you know, how many times can you ride through mud different, you know? And I didn't want to be locked into the Himaway, because I, you know, started getting concerned. Well, Himaway is going to come and tell you can't be that name anymore. So I actually changed it back to GA Bow Hunter. So it went from, I had a channel named GA Bow Hunter. I had a second channel named Himaway Hunter, which I changed to GA Bow Hunter. So I deleted the first GA Bow Hunter because it only had a, you know, 70 subscribers. And so I'm going to, you know, now launch myself off of this, you know, this big Himaway thing.
Okay.
And I kind of settled there. I think I think the channel like started in like 2020, something like that. The Himaway channel, and it kind of just lagged there. And my brothers and I, like I said, this is going to be a big theme of mine, is my brothers and my nephews. They're a big part of my family, obviously a big part of my hunting life. We started talking about, as the channel started gaining a little bit more. I think I was up to maybe 600 subscribers before I did the big short. We started talking about the channel and, you know, what does it represent, things like that. And I just off the cuff said, and, you know, I'm just an average Joe. Because I am, that's all we are. You know, we're just the typical bow hunters that just, you know, they make time out of their work week to go bow hunting. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to be here in Georgia where you can hunt pigs all year long. So, and having access to private land that has, you know, gives me that ability.
Right.
So my pig hunting videos started getting a little more popular, and I said, you know, I'm just an average Joe. And that kind of spun the wheels on the new name, Average Joe with the Bow. In talking to them up there, one of them mentioned, hey, you should try to do some shorts, because I see a lot of these short videos, and that, you know, you should do some shorts. So I just started taking some of my old pig hunting videos, and I just chopped them up into 30-second, 60 seconds, and I just put the shot on there, you know. And I did a few, and they did okay. A couple thousand views. You know, everybody can see a short. I don't know how much you have to watch it before it considers you had a view.
Right.
You know, if your finger's not that fast, you know, do you get a view even if they're swiping for a second? And I did one, it was a pig hunt I did, and it was a nice pig hunt. I had the full video. I really liked the full video. I just took and cut that shot out, and I called it "Wait for Your Shot." And the reason I called it that, because the pig came in. It was before the feeder went off. The pig came in. It was looking around under the feeder, and I drew back, thinking, okay, it's going to sit there for a minute. It's going to settle in under that feeder and give me a shot. Well, it didn't. And it backed out, and it kind of went around the back of the feeder. You've probably seen the video.
Oh, yeah.
And she started going away, and I'm like, wait a minute. And, she gave me a good broadside shot. And it was, I don't know, 20 seconds or something. I was held back on it. And I just launched it, and it was a very good shot as far as placement and everything. And so I named the video "Wait for Your Shot" and then "Make It Count." And it just blew up. For whatever reason, I really don't know. It wasn't the thumbnail, and I guess it could be the title. But that's for somebody else to tell me, because it was so funny. I remember I'd have to look back through my text messages. I started texting my nephew saying, "Oh my God, I got 3,000 views. I got 5,000." And then my subscribers just started, and I remember hitting 1,000, because when you hit 1,000, as you know, you can.
I haven't hit it yet.
Well, when you get there, you can become monetized. Oh man, I hit 1,000, I can become monetized.
Yeah. Well,
there's other little things that YouTube, besides 1,000, you have to have what they call watch hours. Well, at that point, this was in August, just last August of 2022. I hit 1,000 pretty quick after that video came out, but I didn't have the watch hours, nowhere near close. I think I was, 3,500 to 3,400 watch hours out of 4,000. So you got to have 4,000 watch hours to become fully monetized. And the only way you get watch hours was from your full videos. Shorts do not count towards watch hours.
Okay.
So I'm watching this short video, and I don't know if you knew that or not, but shorts do not count for that. So this "Wait for Your Shot" videos just starts blowing up. I mean, it's getting 10,000 views an hour. But none of those watch hours are accumulated to my. So to be honest with you, I just got fully monetized in January.
Okay.
I just finally made my watch hours. Now you 40 some odd million views, probably getting close to 50 million views, but the good thing for my channel was those shorts and those subscribers that were subscribing to that "Wait for Your Shot" started watching my longer videos. Now, not in the same, I don't have 40 million. If I took that "Wait for Your Shot" video out, I'd probably have about 2 million views or something like that. But they started watching those other videos, which was good for me, because I went from 3,500 right there. It would vary based on the month, but I went from there to over 4,000 fairly quickly after it caught on. I don't know. It's amazing. I don't know what that video has in it. So I've tried to recreate it. Now I have another one called, I can't remember the name. I think it's called it hits them hard, or heavy arrows hit them hard.
It never knew what hit it.
Never knew what hit it. That's got 3.4 million. So that one kind of got close. The other ones are drop off dramatically, 500. I think I was one to 500,000 or something like that. But I've never been able to recreate that first, I wasn't even the first short, that "Wait for Your Shot." And I don't really know. I wish I could tell you what happened there.
Right.
when people ask me, I just tell them I actually put this on Facebook. I said I hit the YouTube algorithm lottery. It's all I did. Now the funny thing is that went out, and I think you can tell when it went published. August of 2022. To this day, if I look right now, if I look at my analytics, I'm probably getting, well, this time of day, probably 3,000 views an hour on that video still.
Like
and
when I first checked out your channel, probably a couple weeks ago, it was at 43 million, and today it's at 45 million. So I mean, just in a couple weeks, a couple million views.
Yeah.
Which just mind numbing. And while that was a huge success, you had another one. Your other one was 3.4 million, but you have a lot of them that are in the 25, 75,000, in those larger volumes. So shorts has definitely been something that is obviously spring launched your channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you want to see somebody who got excited when you heard they were going to monetize shorts and start in February?
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, I started throwing them out there too. So
yeah, so I definitely I've watched several of your videos now, and then have several in my watch later column to get to here. So I know from watching several of your videos that you are going out with several different cameras. And would you walk me through the equipment that you have that you're using? Let's just say specifically for this instance, you're self-filming your pig hunt in a tree, and
Yep.
what equipment you're bringing with you, and how do you set that up exactly?
Well, my main camera is a Sony AX53. I bought that camera for pig hunting because a lot of our pig hunts go beyond dark, and it has the night shot mode, and I have a few videos in there with the night shot. So that was important to me in picking out that camera. So that is going to be on my right-hand side. I started out with a 4th arrow arm, which I liked the arm, but I did not like the mount that went onto the tree. So I don't know if you've had a 4th arrow. The one I had has a big steel mount with like 2 claws in the back and a ratchet strap, and that thing had to weigh 10 pounds. And yeah. I try to do, and when I whitetail hunt, I do more mobile hunting. So I want to have a setup that's, not just walking out to a ladder stand that's pre-established. I need to be able to, hump my tree stand in with my gear. So I went with a Lone Wolf arm. And I know it's very similar to the one I see back behind you right there.
Yep.
Nice light aluminum. Love it.
Right here.
Yeah. Love the way it works. So I have a Lone Wolf arm with the AX53 on it. It's typically on my right. The only reason it's on my right is because the LCD screen of the AX53 is on that side, so I can actually watch and see.
I've made the mistake of setting that camera up on my left, and it was just terrible.
So I bought, maybe to save you some grief, I bought an external monitor for my AX53 that I could mount and actually spin different than the camera, so I could still see where the camera was aimed. Unfortunately, as soon as you hit record, the monitor turns off. Oh. So if you didn't know that, so the monitor, the HDMI that powers the monitor, so it turns off. So I'll save you $100 on an external monitor. If you need one, I got one in my case over here.
Pro tip: all you Sony X53 guys, don't buy the monitor.
Yeah, it turns off as soon as you hit. You got to see my face when I hit record and it went black. My other go-to is a GoPro right now, and I like GoPros well enough. I think the footage. I have a Hero 10 here. I think the footage is amazing. I think it is very good. I use, when I have it set up, I have it in the 4K Super View mode. Now, I typically have it up behind me. So if you watch any of my videos, I'll have that shot of me and the target or the pig or the feeder or whatever. I think it's excellent footage. Now, the downside is the zooming and things like that. You can post-production, zoom it, but the footage is amazing. I use quite a few Tacticams. Now I have a 5.0 wide that if you'll see me, I wear it on my head.
Okay.
I like that point of view. I know it looks goofy when the camera's looking at
Yeah.
me. You know, I got this goofy looking camera on the side of my head, but I've had some very good luck with some excellent footage of seeing the bow. I got one where, because I use a Garmin sight on my bow, and you can see my bow, the arrow, the sight. I mean, and the animal, and I think it's a really good angle when you can get it. I mean, it's can be a hit or miss thing. You know, it doesn't take but a couple degrees on the camera, and it doesn't work out for you. So I use that Tacticam. That's a 5.0 wide. Now I did go out and I bought the Tacticam 6 because I did like the stabilizer camera. When I first started out, if you watch, I think I just put a short up of a bear hunt, and that wasn't actually me. That was my buddy Chuck. Him and I were together. I have a bear hunt, I think, on there too.
Yep.
But that was an old GoPro mounted to a stabilizer, and so I've used that setup as far as the camera for a while with a camera on a stabilizer. Now I was very excited about the Tacticam 6 coming out because I heard a lot of good things. If you watch a couple of my videos, it's that really long one. It's like 50 minutes long, but about, I don't know, 38 minutes in there, I'm going to tell you, I'm not real keen on this Tacticam 6. I show some footage of the pig I hit and didn't find. I show the footage versus the AX53 versus the GoPro, and I'm like, it's just not up to what those other cameras offered. I've used the 5.0 wide on my stabilizer, and I personally think it did a little better. Now, even in that video that I put out, I even said, if somebody tells me I have settings wrong, let me know, because I might have something wrong in this 6.0 to why I'm not liking it. It's just the stabilization for me is just not there. It's just too wiggly and wonky, and my arrow looks like it's doing this as it's flying versus the other two cameras that I have pointing at it, you know. So it's not like I just have one opinion on it. I got three, you know, looking at the same shot. And when I look at that footage, it just doesn't do it for me. And I don't think it would do it for the viewers.
Right.
So I'm not real keen on that one. I do have another Tacticam 5 that once in a while you'll see an angle that's either looking up at the tree stand or looking at a feeder, that I put on a little tripod that I have. It's like a GoPro tripod that I can just put it real close to the ground and angle it. I try to do, it's easier to do on the pigs with the feeders because they're, you know where they're going to go. On whitetail, I never try to do that because I never know where they're going to come from. But I have a remote for the Tacticam, which is really nice. So I hit the button once and all three cameras turn on. I have a remote for my GoPro also that you'll see it on some videos. You'll see it like on my arm right here that I use. And then
Yeah.
I have what's that?
I have a love-hate relationship with GoPros. And at times I love them, but at other times they are my worst enemy when self-filming. And maybe part of it for me is up here in Michigan, we've got cold weather and they just seem to do terrible. Like my early season hunts didn't do too bad, but I went up in the middle of November and turned the GoPro on, grabbed my bow, went to draw, and the GoPro just turned off. And I had an external battery source hooked up to it, so there's no battery problem. But it was still 35 degrees out. It wasn't that cold, and I've just had a lot of issues. So later on this summer, I think my GoPro is going to get an arrow to it. So
yeah, you're going to try the Insta 360. I really want to try one.
Yeah.
I've had the inverse down here in the heat of the summer, they overheat like crazy.
Oh, I believe it.
They're not reliable as far as, you know, you hit the button, you hope they stay on. The remote's kind of nice because it tells you if it's filming, so you can always look at your wrist and see it's filming. But I've had the same trials with those, even a Tacticam, and it's probably my own fault. My 5.0 I love so much. I think that's probably, you know, outside of the AX53, that's the most reliable camera. I was in New York this year, shot a nice huge buck with my brother with me, 63-yard shot. I mean, everything you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it on film. And my SD card wasn't seated all the way, so I didn't get a lick of it on film. That was a heartbreaker.
Yeah,
but I can't blame the camera on that one. I got to blame myself. Now, the thing I will blame the camera on is it was buzzing, you know, because if you have a Tacticam, you can set them to where, you know, they'll vibrate. When they're turned on, they vibrate a certain way, and turn off. Well, they have a mode in there that says either your card is full, it'll boop, you know, it'll vibrate a different sequence to say your card is full or there's no card in there. Well, I didn't get either of those, so I do blame the camera a little bit. But you know, it's what's fun about this filming, self-filming. It's what makes it so hard. Tonight that boar came in, and he came in so quiet. My bow was still hanging on the hanger. My cameras weren't on. I didn't even get the GoPro turned on because I didn't have my remote on me. So I had to stand up to hit the button. But that's what makes it fun for me. That's that adding that other part of it. You know, I still missed. I probably would have missed if there was no cameras there. You know, but that made it. Yeah, you know, it made it fun. It makes it interesting, and being able to send the video to my family and say, "Hey, look what just happened." I'll have to share the video with you, Jeremy, because I sent them the video, and when I sent them the video, I edited it to where I shot, but you didn't see where the shot went, kind of like a teaser.
Yeah,
and it's a huge pig. And one of them, my nephew Tyler, picked it off right now. Oh yeah, you missed, didn't you? So.
Yeah, I tell you one thing I have picked up from doing just a few podcasts so far that I've recorded. I've been taking notes, and one of the two things. Hunting Farmer told me external battery packs on all his GoPros with big SD cards, and what he does is he just, as soon as he gets in the tree, he hits record and records the entire hunt. And I was like, "That's a
and I heard
idea.
I heard him say that. And now I listened to that, and I was like, man, that is. I wanted to try to do that tonight. Now, the problem I have with the GoPro is I don't trust it. To be honest with you, I don't. And you got to keep looking, and when the screen goes dark, you got to push a button. Are you still recording?
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed that interview. That was it made me think of a lot of different options I could do, and that was one of them when he said about recording the whole time. I thought about that tonight a lot.
Another video that I just recorded actually last night with another guy, and one of the things that he has, and I'm not sure if GoPros, I'm gonna have to look into it, but they have apparently a looping thing. You can set it to loop so that it just records, and you set the time length. It might be 5, 10, or 20 minutes, and it'll record it in blocks, and then if you haven't stopped recording, it just automatically records over that. So at the end of the hunt, you don't have 2 or 3 hours of video. You have 1 20-minute video, and it's the last 20 minutes. But then if you hit stop recording, it puts that as a separate file and then starts a new 20-minute video, and it'll just record that 20-minute video.
Neat.
And now that was using a DJI Osmo.
Okay.
And there was another camera. I can't remember what other one. So I'm going to definitely look into see if my cameras are capable of that, because that would be just really cool. Just leave that thing running and run the entire hunt. But
Absolutely.
Worry of the GoPro turning off, but
that would make it so much nicer to, you know, as soon as I hear an animal coming, I'm all different directions. I'm you know, trying to make sure all these cameras are on. I'm either hitting remotes and you're taking your focus away from that animal, and which it makes it difficult. You know,
Yeah.
they'll bust you.
Hunting's
They'll
hard
bust you
enough,
moving.
let alone throwing in all
Yeah.
these extra things and stuff to turn on and focus and aim. And if you're anything like me, when I record a hunt, I would say 90% of what I record never makes it onto a video because
No.
it's just that's probably probably 95% of it doesn't. So uh
Yeah, I do a lot of
definitely,
talking to the camera that goes into the trash bin. Um,
if you're like me, luckily you at least turn your microphone on when you're talking to it.
yeah,
So
I've done that a few times. I had
yeah.
this lapel mic hooked into the wrong spot, and all I had was fuzz. It's fun though. That's what's part of, you know, if you want to be a self filmer, um, you got to go through all of this. You
Yeah.
know, you know, how boring would it be if you just went from starting to perfect?
Yeah.
You know, you got to learn all these things.
It's all, I mean, I think it's a lot. So I was talking last night with Derek Craig, and we talked about this, and much like practicing with our bows, it's as much self-filming as much practicing with our equipment, being efficient in
Absolutely.
how to set it up, how to turn it on, how to get everything going correctly so we can make that kill shot and be ethical
Yep.
and have everything down. If you're like me, for me, I have yet to catch a kill on camera. I've had very many attempts and misses. But my first archery buck I killed last year, and I at least had the camera running. It was aimed in the
Right.
wrong area, but I at least had the camera running and you can hear the shot and everything. But it's definitely a challenge.
Did
So,
you there's a video on there, one of mine, and it was one of the does I got this year. I think it was the first doe. It might have been in September. Um, it's funny because the nice thing is, and this may be a self filmer tip, is since I run so many cameras, I was able to catch this shot. But I had something, either I had my camera arm with my AX53, it wasn't level. So when I turned the camera at the doe, I pulled back. I was full draw, and I noticed my camera had turned, like gravity had taken it. So in the video, you can see me trying to nudge my camera back to the right with my knee as I'm full draw. So those are the things that's kind of what makes it fun. I don't even know if I pointed that out in the video, but you can see me kind of do like this dance. I'm at full draw trying to nudge this camera over to get it back an angle.
I'm
So
gonna get, is that Whitetail Success self-film doe down?
yeah, it might have been. Yep,
And it's
it
another
was
one
pretty
into the
cool.
watch later files.
But that's
That's
what, you know, that's the funny thing. Those are the things I remember, and I tell the story about later. You know, it's like, yeah, my camera moved, but that's where that GoPro on your head, even though it looks goofy, that's where it saved the day because that caught the full shot.
You've been on your Average Joe at the Bow channel. Looks like it's been around for just a couple of years. Have you experimented with like in midstream changing your thumbnail or changing the title of the video and experienced any up spike or down spike as a result of that?
A ton. I've tried it a lot. And honestly, I hadn't seen any change. Um, I've tried on the full videos, the shorts. The shorts, you really can't do much with the thumbnails, but definitely the name change, and you'll see it if you might be watching a video and you'll see the name change. I tried something the other day, and I, instead of saying bow hunting hogs, I did feral pigs, because if you look at my analytics, and I do look at them, I probably look at them more than I should, but for a lot of the subscribers that I've gained, a lot of them are Australian.
Okay.
Australia. So, and Australia is more of a feral pig kind of verbiage. So I was saying, okay, what happens if I change this to feral pig? And I didn't see any change, to be honest with you. Change thumbnails a ton. Nah, not really. It's just, honestly, I don't know what makes one go off, what makes a video just all of a sudden become popular. And you know, maybe the likes. That's very important. If somebody watches a video like this video they're watching right now, hit that like button, because that's really what's going to help your algorithm out. The thumbnail, I think the thumbnail will bring maybe the people in. I don't know. You probably watch a bunch of YouTube just like I do.
Yeah.
You know, when you're flipping through YouTube and looking at things, you know, what draws you to that video? I think the title, for me personally, more draws me. I might look at the title, then the thumbnail, and say, okay, what does look cool about this? But it's got to be something that grabs you. That's one of the videos I did, and it was a lucky thing, and it just happened not too long ago. Was shooting my best buck ever with a 9mm handgun.
Well, I was going to bring that up. That was a super cool video.
Yeah. So that one, I was thinking when it happened, that was just one of those ones that fall into your lap. You know what I mean? It unplanned, just falls into your lap. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be huge. And it's not really as big as I thought.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit of that whole story for people who haven't seen it?
Absolutely.
I've watched, because it's in parts of 2 videos, and I think
yeah.
So I watched.
Yeah, I made a shorter one for him. So I was down here pig hunting, and I was actually with Chuck Pickerel, who actually owns the property, and you'll hear CPHR quite a bit in my videos. Chuck Pickerel Hog Ranch. So I was down here hunting, and I hit a pig. I believe it was on a Friday night. And I hit one, and it looked like a good shot. And if you watch the full video, there's like a 50-minute video. But if you watch full video, you'll see that shot. And I hit it, and I went looking for this pig, and I'm thinking it's going to be down pretty soon. And nothing. Following the blood trail, and finally, after an hour and a half, 2 hours of looking for this pig in the pitch black in these pig woods down here, which everybody, you know, they're squealing and running around. I just lost blood. It just got too dark. I could not find it. So I use Huntwise app on a hunting app. So I dropped a pin. I said, this is where and I even marked it, last blood. So the next morning was a Sunday morning, and we were planning on leaving, heading home. Chuck lives south down in Florida, and I live north of Atlanta. We were planning on just doing a few things and packing up. And I told Chuck, I said, I'm going to go back out as soon as the day breaks, because it was getting daylight, maybe 7:45. You know how that late sunrise was. I said, as soon as it hits daybreak, I'm going to go back there and look for this pig, because it just tears me up to shoot one and not find it. So I drove the side-by-side back out there, and it was a pretty good ride. And I started filming. When I got out of the side-by-side, I just filmed, hey, I'm going to go look for blood. And I went into the woods, went to the last pin, and I told the camera, I said...
real quick on that, because in the video, I was curious on the camera setup, real quick. If you could walk us through that too.
It was literally just my GoPro Hero 10 on a flexible stick. And then I just for backup, I had my my Tacticam like tucked into my shirt, like just sitting there, just as a placeholder, you know, in case I needed it, you know, if I found a pig or whatever. So I had the Tacticam sitting in my shirt and the GoPro just in my hand on like a wand.
Okay.
So I head into the woods, and I get to the pin, and I tell it, you know, being the GoPro battery is maybe an hour and a half without external power. I said, okay, if I find anything, I'll turn you back on. I think I said that in the video. So I looked around for another hour or so, a little more, and never found any blood. I couldn't pick anything back up. I was just doing, this is what was so interesting, Jeremy, is I was just tromping around these woods. And I mean, if you look at the woods I'm in with these palm fronds and things, there's nothing, you can't be quiet. So
Right.
I'm just tromping around looking for blood for like an hour. And I finally just said, I'm going to call it. And I turn my camera on and I start saying, "Hey guys, I'm going to do one more loop," because I was going to do one more loop back to the trail and just head back to the side by side. I'm going to do one more loop and I'm going to call it. And then as soon as I was saying that, I'm hearing something just, and I turn around and you can see it in the video. That's what's so great about it, because it was all on video. This is real. I mean, and I turn around, I look, and I see this tree just going like this about 25 yards from me, just shaking. So I'm immediately thinking it's a pig, because pigs rub like a bear. They'll get on a tree and just rub. So I'm reaching, and good thing I wasn't getting attacked, because you can see me fiddling for my pistol in my inside the pants holster. And I get my gun out, and as I'm pulling the gun out, I see this big rack, just buck, just come up. I'm like, oh man, it's a big buck. And it just, I don't know why it didn't. My wife said she thinks it's deaf. She said that deer had to be deaf. It just starts moving just perfectly broadside to me. And in the GoPro, it looks like it's a lot farther, but it's less than 25 yards.
Okay.
And it just stops in this opening. And it's just broadside. His nose is to the ground. It's just nothing but it's like a 2x2 by 2 foot target. And I just aim, and I'm holding a GoPro in my hand, and I've been through military training. I take a shot, and it's lands perfect. He jumps off, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't believe it. And in a full video, I don't even turn the camera off. It literally was from when I took the shot, 6 minutes from when I walked up on the deer. Now I walked up really slow because I'm thinking to myself,
yeah, ready for him to jump up or something.
Did I just wound this thing? I didn't want to keep jumping them. But it was funny because when I shot, I guess when I pulled the gun out of the holster or something, I must have hit the ejection from my magazine, or just touched it enough, because as soon as I shot and it went to rack another one, the magazine fell out. So I'm picking that up. But as I'm picking that up, I look and I could see the buck, and it didn't go far. If you watch the video,
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't go 25 yards, and I could see him. I could see him just drop on the ground. And so I just, okay, I'm going to ease my way up there. Well, when I got up there on the video, I was trying to I had my AX-53 in my pocket too, in case I found a pig. So I'm pulling that out, pulling my phone out, texting Chuck the whole 9 yards. And he was still huffing a little bit, and I didn't want to sit there and just video the deer in its final moments, but he was just huffing. He wasn't moving, wasn't really doing any wiggling or anything, but you could tell he still had a little bit left in him. So I just respectfully backed out, and just headed back to the side by side to get Chuck. So that when you see Chuck start filming me coming up to that buck, that is literally the first time I did get to that buck and see that buck. And that excitement that I had was real, because I'll be honest with you, that was super exciting for me.
Oh, I can't
not
even
just
imagine.
The fact that it was not just the fact that it was the Glock and the 9mm, that just made it interesting, but that is the biggest buck I've ever taken ever. I had a hell of a year this year. I mean, I got a monster up in New York with my bow, 63 yards, the one I was telling you about. Didn't get it on camera. So if you don't believe me, not you personally, but anybody else watching, yeah, it did happen, but you don't have to believe me. Got a really nice 6 in Georgia, what I call the high 6. That video's on there.
Yeah.
Because I've never been I'm not a big buck guy. I'm not a really good hunter, to be honest with you. I'm really not. I'm just an average,
Average Joe
hence
with a
the
bow.
name. So
Love it.
My nephew Tyler is a big buck hunter. He slays them. He can't walk in the woods without killing a big buck. I don't know how he does it, but for me, that's what made it so exciting for me, because I personally put into work. Even when I go to New York, and I tell my brothers this, and when I go to New York, they did all that work all year to tell me to go sit in that tree, go get in that tree right there. So I like to be a true hunter, in my opinion, is you put into work to go scout that area and you figure out that pattern. And you might not kill it. You may have 100 acres you hunt. You might not kill a 140-inch buck, but because there's not a 140-inch buck living on that property, but you might get a 120 because that's the biggest guy on that place. You're not going to kill a 140 buck somewhere where there's no 140 bucks. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But put in the work, get that best buck that you can, or if that's what you're shooting for, or does, or if you're just trying to fill the freezer, but just put yourself in the right spot at the right time, play in the wind, learning the patterns. And that to me is what's a lot of fun. It's probably the reason I don't gun hunt a lot. And I don't want to disparage gun hunters. I know it takes a lot of skill to shoot something from hundreds of yards away. I know I just missed at 5. So I know, I can miss a lot at 200. But to me, I really like that up close and personal, what it takes to get that close.
Yeah, you don't need a rifle. You just use a Glock. Just get it done, right?
Yeah, you know how much hell I caught for that. People say you can't deer hunt, and if you don't post anything, post this. I was not deer hunting with a Glock 9mm.
Yeah. That wasn't the intention.
Not at all. And I don't know how much clearer I can say it, but I caught hell about deer hunting with a short barreled 9mm.
I totally get you. You weren't out. I mean, I watched both of those videos. I knew you were out chasing a hog, and hey, opportunity knocked, and you got to answer sometimes. And
it's legal in Georgia. It's legal in a lot of states, and 9mm is big enough. There's no barrel restrictions, long or short. And I actually, to be honest with you, I did know that before I shot that buck.
Yeah. And obviously, you put a great shot on that deer, because it died within a few yards of where you shot it. So I don't think anyone can knock you for what happened there. So
military really cool. Training.
Yeah, there you go. So just a couple things to kind of wrap up. What do you think is your all-time favorite video that you've made on your channel?
I you know what? I think it's probably when the New York boys came to hunt. I shot a pig with my recurve. I don't know if you've seen that one. It was a Martin takedown recurve. I think the title is New York Boys Come to Hunt. New York Boys Come Down. So that's my brother and my nephews. They came to hunt with me. I actually picked them. It's actually in that video, it was just my brother and one of my nephews. Picked them up at the Atlanta airport, brought them down, seeing alligators and all that stuff. But we were just out tromping around one afternoon, and I had that recurve with me, and my nephew Sean was filming, and they caught me on film shooting a pig with a takedown recurve.
It is,
and I think the editing worked out pretty well too, because it was some funny stuff I put in there that
it's saved to the watch later. It's bow hunting Georgia hogs with the New York boys. So
yeah,
I'll be checking that one out this weekend here. So, and then final question: what kind of advice would you give some smaller, aspiring channels on some tips and tricks that may or may not help them succeed?
Well, I think if I can just play off of I don't know if you call it success, but my growth, if you can get the shot on camera, get it on camera. You make that content, I think, is really for most of the people skimming through YouTube are looking for. A great story is always great. There's a friend of mine on Facebook. He has a channel called Habbo Will Travel. Great. He's got a great channel. Yeah. And he's got really good content without the shot. Tanner's his name. So you got to have one or the other. I don't know if I don't have the personality, I just have the right camera gear to when I get the shot. But if you can catch that shot, just catch it and then just put it out there and be persistent with it. If you hunt a lot, film everything you do and hunt. And because if you find it interesting as the hunter, somebody's going to find it interesting, and be true to yourself too. That's a big thing. If you notice, I have no sponsors. I have nothing like that. I mean, it was Pure Whitetail. I did a couple things for, but that was just out of Facebook stuff. But be true to yourself. Don't create a script to try to create a video. Just let the video be itself. You go out there and you hunt, and you let that hunt play out the way the hunt's going to play out. Don't try to manipulate it to make a video. Just let it be real life. That's what I enjoy. Now it might not be a tool to success, but if you want to be true to yourself, because in the end of the day, that's all you can do. You got to look yourself in the mirror. Be true to yourself. Be passionate about what you really are passionate about. If you're an ethical hunter, hopefully you are, make ethical shots and try to be ethical and teach people. We got enough bad light on us for hunting. So don't give them another avenue. And I give them avenues all the time. You may have too. You said you wanted a buck on camera or something, but that's just an avenue for people to hate on us. Now, be ready. You got to have thick skin. Jeremy, that may be the best advice I can give.
Yeah.
You're going to have thick skin. As soon as you put something on the internet, somebody's not going to like it. And you're going to have to be able to take that criticism and either deal with it or not, go. I'll be honest with you. I had a video early on I put on my channel that got some bad comments on it, and I took it down. I that was early on. It hit me right here, and it's just like, oh man, I don't want people thinking about me, because it was a bad shot. The pig, I did recovered a pig, but it was a bad shot. It wasn't a perfect shot, and like most hunters, if there's not very many perfect shots you're ever going to get in your hunting career.
Right.
But they really hounded me on the shot placement and what happened. And I don't know if you want to have a lot of fun, just look at the comments I got on that video. They're all over the board. That I don't know if I can tell how many dislikes are on that video. Is there a way to tell?
I don't know.
I know it's got quite a few likes, but there's probably triple that in dislikes and people telling me that I'm going places that I don't need to talk about. And how can you kill animals, or how do you? And unfortunately, Jeremy, I sometimes I comment back. I think I had one the other day. It was how can you about how can you do this to an animal? And I said, well, just look at your dinner plate and you tell me how. I think was my response back, because that's what infuriates me is people. People need to learn where their food comes from.
Yeah.
If they're true vegans and things like that, yeah. God bless you. Go your way. And why are you watching my videos? But go your way.
Yeah.
But if you're not, you got to understand where your food comes from, because it's meat is, and you'll see this comment, meat doesn't come from a magic machine in the back of a grocery store. So I've made that a bunch of times to people that like to hit me up. But I guess the best advice is have thick skin, be persistent, be true to yourself. Try to just catch good footage, and that's the thing.
Stick after it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't give up.
Well, I really appreciate you sitting down, taking this time. I'm sure there's better things you could have spent your Friday night doing than interviewing with me, but I really appreciate it.
No, this was great. It's my first real chance. It's like my coming out party for everybody to see what's behind the scenes.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And for everybody watching, as always, thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys next time.